Let's go. Game time.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, John Laxman.
I'm your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today we're going to hit part 2 of mental health and fatherhood. Very important topic, B. Part 1 ran long because it is so important. There's so much information to cover. Yeah. You want to run through our recap of part 1?
Yeah, so we covered 4 things. So
Yeah.
we told some personal stories about different seasons that we were in with our mental health. We talked about the importance of mental health and fatherhood. A third thing we talked about was recognizing the signs of stress, being, more self-aware, how stress is impacting us. And then finally, the impact of stress on fatherhood.
So if you haven't seen part 1, stop this right now. Jump over to the link that's in the show notes. Watch part 1. Check that thing out.
Come on back and see.
Yeah, come on back and see us because part 2 is going to be fire. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into number 5. And number 5 is breaking the stigma around seeking help. So often as men, there's this negative perception of men that go seek help as if they're weak, right? Have you experienced that yourself?
Not explicitly, but it just wasn't done in our culture.
And when you say our culture,
in African-American culture,
Okay.
like I didn't know of any men that were going through therapy. First time we went through therapy was right before my parents were getting ready to get a divorce. Because I had done some things, and so we were forced to go to therapy as a family.
And you were a child at this
I
time.
was a child.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a teenager. So,
Yeah.
But just that word just didn't come up in the household. And so it wasn't like, you're soft or it wasn't that upfront with it, although, some of that stuff has come later. But it just wasn't done. It wasn't a tool reach for. So how about you?
Let me think here. As a child, my mother put me into counseling. Yeah. So I can remember this was probably 3rd grade, 4th grade, somewhere in that range.
Right.
Because I was a little bit out of control. I know, hard to believe, right? So she put me in some therapy, and I could just remember drawing and painting, and the therapist asking me questions while I'm drawing and painting and all these things. So I don't know if that broke some of that stigma for me, or I looked at that as me being weak and having to go. That's something I'm going to have to unpack, I guess.
Sure.
As I got older, I was just like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that.
Okay.
Because no one was there to force me to do it. Even though I maybe needed it in certain instances, as we talked about in episode 1, right?
Sure.
And then the culture that I grew up in,
Which is?
well, so I was raised by my mother most of the time, right? I spent some summers or some weekends with my father sporadically.
Right.
He was Indian man, right? And then in the Indian culture, counseling and therapy is not a big thing. We're not doing that. But I also grew up in a culture where it was very disadvantaged socioeconomically. The projects, my mother working multiple jobs, trying to support 4 kids. So that culture, that environment right there is not one where, hey, therapy, great, good for you. Or, just finding the time to even get there a lot of times. So yeah, it was probably like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, somewhere there that we went. I wouldn't say consistently, but I can remember being there. And then all of a sudden it stopped. I have no idea what stopped. I don't feel like I reached some kind of like breakthrough in therapy or anything like that at that time. But it just stopped. And then, like I said, as I got older, I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that thing. And then, so that's kind of my story with therapy.
Did you have any guys in your circle who just voluntarily mentioned that they were going through it? Like, you had to know that dudes were going through tough situations, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So were there any of your friends that you remember saying, hey, I was in this tight spot, or I made this bad decision, or this thing happened? And then one of my resources was, hey, I went and talked to a therapist, or, I had a counseling session or anything.
As a young man, like in your 20s?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Okay. And I can remember joking with cats like, yo, you probably need some therapy. I ain't going to that shit. Like, I remember that, like, my man, you say things like that. We joke around. Right. And that probably plays into that stigma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but never in our 20s.
That's interesting.
Yeah, never.
It's funny, as we were talking, I remember this happens frequently when we're talking. It's just a reminder of, I did go to therapy when I was in college.
Okay.
I remember going through a bout of depression in college and down at, local university. And it's like, oh, okay, I did. It's like, don't remember a lot from it, but I do remember going to the sessions and what the building looked like. So somehow along the way, it did kind of drop in there, but it wasn't an overarching thing at all. Either of our cultures, it sounds like.
Right. No, not at all. And there was a gigantic negative stigma placed on it. Because when your visualization of therapy is some soft, weak person laying on a couch crying about being a victim in some situation that they're not taking accountability for.
Right.
Right. That's the visualization of therapy.
Right.
Especially from the cultures that we came from. Man up, step up,
Right.
take accountability,
Right.
stop whining, stop crying.
Yeah.
You got yourself there. Like, get out of it yourself.
You think about the music now, that big age difference in, between us, but
Yeah.
there's some overlap in terms of the kind of music that our culture was exposed to. So there wasn't no, they weren't dropping no raps and gangster rap about
Not at all.
counseling. Public Enemy wasn't talking.
No.
Soft Space of Land, and
NWA was not preaching counseling. Neither was Bone Thugs and Harmony. They was in harmony, but not on the couch in counseling.
No, and so all that plays into it, right?
Yeah.
Why there was a stigma.
Yeah.
And that at some point, somebody in that generation, and we're speaking to men that we know are handling some problems, somebody's got to be, the curse breaker in that in terms of breaking through the stigma of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. You talk about the music like you, man, but we were just talking about Busta Rhymes before we started.
Right.
Busta coming and talking about, I'm just really feeling vulnerable. I did.
Let me just get this on my chest. That's not happening.
But later though, but now cats are like when you see them on their podcast.
Yes.
And they're older men. Now, real talk, right?
Yeah.
They're older men and they're reflecting on, things they could have done differently as a father. Like I've seen, to name one, Busta Rhymes talk about, there's times as a dad that I wish I had done that. And so that comes with age, that ability, to kind of put that in armor and say, I could have done some things better. I wish, I'd been more present or whatever. But the contrast, between.
There's a certain image that we try to live up to, right? And therapy doesn't play into that image as a young man. And in some cultures, and a lot of cultures, and in a lot of instances, and a lot of circumstances, it doesn't play into that image as an older man, right?
Right.
But as a young man, no, man.
No. Yeah.
Like, imagine being 25, and there's some of you out there that are 25, and telling your boy, "Oh, I can't come out with y'all to this afternoon for happy hour because I gotta go to my therapist."
Go see Ron.
Like, what? Bro, what you really doing? Like, come on.
3 shots deep in his Jameson out of there,
But that's the thing that has to be broken.
Yeah.
Right. And we've talked about this before. Therapy is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Some of us do need professional help.
Right.
And some of us are good just sitting with a good friend and just talking it out and finding those solutions through those conversations.
Right. But the point is, the first point is we got to break that stigma.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to. You have to be comfortable enough. You have to be mature enough in your masculinity to say, listen, I'm at a point in my life where I just need to talk to somebody. It needs to be professional help. And then finding the right therapist.
Right.
Man.
It might take you several meetings. Find someone that jives with you at that particular season in your life. And it's okay. It's okay to switch it up and feel like, you're not locked into the first therapist that you find. So that's a good segue into, well, where do you find help? I know for me, a good employer has access to resources that usually are for free or, small copay. And so your employer might have an employee assistance program, EAP, where you can talk to and get the first session for free. So that's one place to find resources is right at your current job.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right at your job is probably the easiest place for most people because of that lower cost or that no cost that's associated with finding it through employment.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have other resources like by simply Googling therapist. Right. And then finding a therapist that's closest to you and that you can get to, that has availability and that is going to meet your needs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, talk to friends. You never know.
Man,
like
telling you.
Came to me and, I've had some friends come to me and say, hey, I'm in this situation, I'm thinking I might need some help. Do you have any resources? We've never had to talk about counseling, but immediately I told them, call the EAP. This is what I did. So take that chance to reach out to a couple of your close friends and say, hey, have you ever had, and not to get in your business, but you ever, talk to a counselor, resource, anybody who has, who could lead me on. So usually within your friend circle, there's somebody who's either knows someone or is tapped into that resource themselves.
And putting those conversations on the table opens up so many different things. Because now maybe that friend gives you resources, but he's also checking in on you.
Yeah,
right? Maybe he's willing to have those conversations because maybe he experienced the same thing and he was never able to express that to anybody as well. So just having those conversations, talking about those important things. Yeah. Then we have those religious individuals in our lives, if we are a religious inc, right, that can support us as well. Right. So your local pastor, right? You go to a church, just talking to your pastor about situations as well can be helpful.
And sometimes big churches have even down to, hey, we have a Saturday men's group.
There we
For
go.
all men,
Mhm.
what we say stays in the room, so men can feel a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidentiality. You don't want, you share sensitive things. You don't want those things running in the street.
Yeah.
And it's tailored to the feelings and experiences that men experience. So if you're going through a breakup or it's an intense period of time with you and your ex, or your kids get to the point where the parenting is really challenging, you have other dudes in there that absolutely walk that road. So
Yeah.
that's another good resource. And then we got some low cost resources,
Yeah.
that we talked about, we just this weekend.
Yeah.
Get out there in nature.
Man, completely unplugged.
Completely unplugged.
Yeah.
The wife and I recently went to a place close by, about 2.5 hours outside of our city. And if we didn't want to interact with another human being besides the two of us, we could have done it. And it was us, the wind, and the sound of birds
Mm.
and our dogs. And it was very therapeutic.
Mhm.
We reached a place, we're married, happily married. But if you were a guy, just needed a place to kind of get your mind settled, man, just get out in nature.
It just sounds appealing just to go by. I just want to go by myself, chill out there.
All out.
And maybe you can't go 2.5 hours away or 3 hours away, or maybe you can't afford to do that, but you can afford a hike. You can afford a walk in nature. Those things are free.
Yeah.
So find a location where you can do those type of things.
Yeah.
Or even if you live in a major metropolitan area, you can't get anywhere, turn off all the appliances. Literally just go around and unplug everything, hide your phone somewhere, turn it off, whatever you need to do. Sit there in peace. Maybe just play some chill music, right? Maybe just play some nature sounds, right? Some of those things are very beneficial to us, right? It'll put you in a calm state. Maybe it's only 5 minutes of it, maybe it's 20 minutes of it, whatever it is that works for you. And then on top of that, we talked about men's groups that are associated with religious establishments, right? But we can Google men's group. Maybe there's a men's group that meets at the local hall that's 2 blocks from your house that you didn't even know existed.
And, they might combine some outdoor activities, some physical activities, and some sitting around and talking and some social stuff. And so the point is that investigate resources that work for your budget and your time, but do things that get you out of your head in a way.
Yes.
And sharing in a safe way with another person, so you can kind of divide that load.
Real quick question before we move on here. What have you felt has been the most beneficial to you and your mental health from a supports perspective? So what has supported you the most?
Right.
Or been the most beneficial to you support wise?
I think of it almost like a stool, like 3 legs of a stool.
Okay.
So one leg is some close friendships with people who really know me, know me at the worst, and have known me for a long time. And so I know I don't have to get you caught up to speed on all these circumstances where they fit in, right?
Yeah.
So we got a couple guys that we might get together for breakfast, once every other month, but it's a deep time, right? Because we're not retracing and having it. We know where we are. And the second leg is physical activity. Physical activity just reduces the stress. I mean, the stress doesn't go away, but it allows my body to kind of re-regulate and say, okay, I'm gonna do, once I'm done exercising, I'm gonna go do something to, attack that problem. Or I might go have a hard conversation, or I might, tackle this pile of bills, or whatever the thing that's being, bringing the stress. The physical activity helps fortify me to do the thing that I gotta do.
Interesting.
And then it's meditation, prayer, for me, Bible study, getting guidance on, okay, what's my next move? Let me put this stress situation in perspective. And so those 3 legs, if I'm, using all 3 of them, I'm at my best. If I'm, using 1 or 2, then it's a little wobbly, but it's better than nothing. I'm not flat on the floor. So that's how I picture it.
Interesting. Yeah. I think for me, very similar, right? And first off, there are some people in my life that, I don't have to get caught up.
Right.
And if I call them,
Right.
they're like, "What's good, man?"
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah. Okay, cool." Yeah. So that has been a major support system for me, is just having quality individuals in my life, quality men in my life that I can not run to, but, I find in times that I need to express something, they can give me positive or negative feedback on whatever I'm thinking, and being open to that negative feedback.
Right.
Like, "Nah, you fucked up."
Yeah.
You fucked up, bro.
We wanna do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you're just not thinking correctly in this situation, right? And then I've also found support through books and podcasts, because you feel like you're connected to something right there, right? You knowing that, like, if you're listening to or reading a book, that there are hundreds of thousands of people maybe that have listened to or read this book as well. So you feel connected to that network, right? And the podcast does the same thing to you, right? You're like, you're gaining this information, you're being provided support, and you know that a lot of other people are connected to that as well. So that connectivity from those podcasts and those books have been very beneficial to me. Of course, working out,
Yeah.
man, working out has been a major source of the alleviation of stress and anxiety. So that, and then as you said, meditation, prayer, journaling,
Yeah.
those things,
Yeah.
man, if you do those things in an extremely honest and authentic way, the relief.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll go into a meditation process and I'll just be like, whatever, just, I do a lot of different things.
Right.
So sometimes I'm just like at 110 revved up. And then, I don't even realize it until I sit down that I'm at 110. And then all of a sudden, 2 minutes in, 3 minutes in, I'm like, whoa, I was way up there.
Yeah.
And I can just feel my heart rate just calm down.
Right.
And I'm just there in that moment,
Yeah.
man, just being present. Yeah.
That's very good. I'd forgotten what you'd said about, podcasts and books,
Yeah.
just that thing being a great resource. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So all those things, there's a multiple ways and you'll have to try different things and find a combo that works for you. But the point is there's resources out there for you.
Yeah.
Take that step to start to use.
As we've said before, go mine the gold.
Yeah.
There is gold out there. Go mine it. Yes, sir. Number 7.
The benefit of working on these things
Yeah.
is that as you're able to manage your stress better, you're more present and self-aware as a father.
Yes.
And there's been many times when I've been in the room with my kids, but I wasn't present with my kids because there was so much other stuff going on.
And I've been there.
And particularly when they're young and small and they really crave that time with you, man, guys, we want you to be in a situation where you can be fully there in the Legos or the Barbie dolls, whatever. In that space, they're painting your nails or whatever they're doing, right? You're fully there with them and not kind of outside, viewing yourself. So managing that stress means that you're emotionally awake to, your present circumstances.
Yeah.
You're modeling good behavior and you're putting tools in your kid's toolkit.
Absolutely. I think a revelation that I had was, a moment that occurred probably not really that long ago where I'm deep into something I'm working on and I hear daddy, daddy, and I hear it, but I don't really acknowledge that it's being said or respond to the fact that it's being said. I'm just like, boom, 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 I'm having to do this, I have to do this because this stress has built up. And daddy, 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 daddy. I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? She's 5 years old. She needs my attention. I'm not giving her my attention. Like, I need to stop what I'm doing and be present for that moment right there. And I think we have to be intentional about the times that we want or we should be present, right? So, like you said, there's been many times when I was present, but I wasn't present. Right? I was physically there, but that was it. Right? So how do we create that intentionality in those moments? It's literally, I'm going to work for an hour straight on whatever I'm doing. Whatever it is, right? Or I just need an hour straight of me time, whatever it is. But then when that hour's up, I'm going to devote an hour straight to her. And I'm not checking my cell phone for text messages. I'm not going on social media for that hour. I'm not drifting back to my work for that hour. But for that hour, that moment right there, I'm completely locked in on my kid. And if you can be very intentional about providing her with that, because that hour of intentionality, that hour of authenticity right there is much more than 7 hours of being sporadically available to her or him.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
And it takes work.
Yes.
Right. You had to work up to that point and you had to work up to the point where you were self-aware enough. It's like,
Yeah.
my 5-year-old's like, I need you now. And that's a magic age when they want you, they're able to articulate, hey, I want this attention with you. You're the number one.
Yes.
6 or 7 years later, you're not going to be the number one, right?
Not at all.
Right, it changes quickly. But all we're saying is that all the other stuff we talked about gets you to a place where you could be that kind of dad.
Yeah.
So when you are honest with, the things that are weighing on you, but you have good safety valves and good mechanisms for managing that, you're able to say, yeah, work will be there. Let me get down on my hands and knees and be in my kid's world fully for an hour. I respect the fact you say, I'm not being pulled. My phone's not there with me. I know for me, it's like, it's draft night. What's the commander's going to do? If my phone was there.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of disciplines. But the point is that get to the point where you are emotionally aware, physically present and emotionally present, models for them that, hey, you're my primary objective right now.
That's
you're
it.
the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
And that for a kid is magic.
Man.
Magic. And you literally are building into another generation beyond them because you're setting the stage for, hey, this is how dad functions.
Yeah.
And so we talk about putting tools in the toolbox. That's what we're talking about.
That's the toolbox, man.
We give you the time. We give you attention.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're not managing your stress.
One of the things I'm gonna share real quick.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do every night, right? And she knows as soon as she gets off FaceTime with her mother, she's like, hey, is it showtime? I said, it's showtime, baby, right? She's ready to go. Oh, and sometimes we start before and then we stop for FaceTime for her mother, and then a little after. And you know what she loves watching right before she goes to bed? You ever see them YouTube videos? And I know it's screened right before she goes to bed, but anyhow. But it's this YouTube videos where these people go into the wilderness and build forts and stuff of that nature. My 5-year-old loves that stuff. So last night and she asked thousands of questions throughout the whole time. So, and I like it too. Like I got into it as well. So she asked all kinds of questions. And I'm like, last night I was like, I realized how much I got involved. I was like, you gotta stop talking so we can see what's happening. And I was like, oh, this is her time. This ain't my show. Cause she likes predicting what they're about to build. Like she's like, oh, I bet he's about to build a fireplace right here. And she's like, what do you think? And then I'll be like, you're probably right. She's like, no, you can't copy me. You got to get something else. But those moments, right? That is it right there. I'm completely present with her. And yeah, there's something else going on that's there. But me and her, we're locked in this conversation about what they're building.
The tradition. Yeah, I had similar traditions with my kids when they were small. I would try to make them sleepy. I would make this stuff called honey milk. It was just milk with some honey and a little bit of sugar. Warm drink. And to this day, they still talk about, Dad, you remember the time you make the honey milk for us? And so it's little rituals that seem so simple, but are so meaningful to the kids.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do that if you are 1,000 other places.
It really is.
And so we want you to get to the point where we hope you're experiencing those experiences with your kids, because they are money.
Yes.
And they will turn those, I'm telling you, you'll start to see them show up with your grandkids. I did this today with my grandkids because we used to do it, I did this today with my kids, Dad, because we used to do it with us when we were small.
Wow.
It's like, man, you're talking about the dividends. We want that sweet spot for you guys. We want you to be in that place where you're fully there as a dad and able to do those. That's a beautiful story.
It all starts with being emotionally aware.
Right.
It really starts. Because if I'm stressed and I have all this anxiety built up, or maybe I'm on the verge of being depressive or depression or experiencing depression, right? If I have all these things going on, I can't be present. So I have to realize that I have some deficiencies, and I hate to use the term deficiencies, but I have these things going on inside of me that are impacting my ability to connect with my child, right? So once I realize those things, once I'm emotionally aware of those things, then I can begin the process of talking with other men, seeking help, finding podcasts, finding books, finding a therapist. But it begins with being aware of those issues that we carry around with.
Absolutely. Very, very good.
And you can't be fully there for your child unless you're fully there for yourself.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that speaks to it. I think one of our points was, it didn't show up on the talking points on the board, but I know we talked about it in our notes, is you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
You cannot fill your child's bucket or make deposits in them if you're overdrawn. And so we want you to be able to recognize when your account is low, make some deposits in your own account so you have this surplus to give from.
Yeah.
You can't give it if you don't have it.
Right.
And so all this is like, hey, these are bucket fillers, so that you can pour to the most important people in your life, which are your kids. All right. So as we wrap up, one good point, fellas, is that I love this point you came up with in the notes, John, is, man, you got permission to rest, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys out there grinding. If you're on the front end of this journey as a better baby dad and you just got hit with child support, or the visitation's funky, you thought it was going to be one way, and you're experiencing acutely stressful situations, hey, it's okay to say, man, I got to take a nap. I'm going to have to pull back. It's my deload week. It builds resilience, and you're allowed to do it. There's nothing in society that comes out to men and says, hey, man, you're allowed to take, well, that's not true. There's a lot of commercials where dudes are just kind of chilling and just getting drunk and stuff. But a healthy rest for the sake of being able to get back into the fight.
Yeah.
Hey, we encourage you to do
that. And that rest, let me see how I'm going to word this. That rest should incorporate some self-care, right? The rest itself is self-care, but what can we throw on top of that pot, right? Or in that pot to enhance that self-care? So maybe it is a massage from a therapist. You don't get a massage from a therapist. If that's happening,
that's a special therapy.
It's a nice.
You might not be able to find that through your employees.
But it's finding that relaxation, right? It's taking care of yourself in the best way possible, right?
For me, it's golf.
There we go.
I'm out in nature.
Yeah.
I'm doing something physical.
Yeah.
We debated the merits of how just down in the whoop. The whoop's like, golf's strenuous, man. Strenuous. You like, come on, Slim. But it is very therapeutic.
There we
You're
go.
out in a beautiful space. You're doing something challenging, mentally challenging, physically kind of, demanding in a different way. And I always feel better after I play around a golf, or even just practicing putting, just the kind of is meditative, just practicing putting. And you're allowed to unplug before you get back into the fray.
Right. And for different people, it's different things, as you were alluding to there. Maybe it's fishing for somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe it's painting for somebody else. It can be all types of different things, but that unplugging, whether it's for a day or for an hour, can be so beneficial.
Yeah.
So that rest, that unplug, man, you can, but to rest and unplug, you need to be emotionally aware of the fact that you need it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're revved up, if your RPMs are kicking for a week straight, a month straight, a year straight, whatever it is for you, man,
eventually it's going to show up.
It is. And it's going to show up in ways that are going to be detrimental to you and your children.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And final point is, fellas, this whole podcast, this whole network, this whole tribe is because we want to make sure you understand you're not alone. We just happen to meet through work, going through similar situations, maybe at different time points, but the commonality is that we had these crazy stories as dads trying to have, more time with their kids. And so just the little conversation we had several years ago let us know, man, we're not alone in this. And then as we have been more aware, we know we're not alone.
Yeah.
And so just know what you're going through is not uncommon.
Yeah.
There's other guys just like you out there at different points, but there's help.
Yeah, I think our conversations a couple years ago really helped normalize what I was going through. I was like, yo, he's done this and he's been there. Yeah, I've done that and I've been there as well.
Exactly.
And he's still alive and he's older than me. He made it through. I was like, I'm going to make it through too.
Yeah.
Okay. And it really puts things in perspective for you. You're allowed to, you look at someone else's situation and you're like, man, okay.
Yeah.
Very similar to mine. Everyone has their little nuances in regards to their specific situation, but it just allows you to see things from a clearer picture.
No doubt.
Yeah. And once you understand that you're not alone, it changes the game for you.
It does.
You're like, oh, I'm not the only man to make that mistake. Okay. There's a lot of us out here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes, there are. But those mistakes that we've made have enabled us to be in a position where we can share the information that we've gained from those lessons. Those mistakes have given us lessons that are so valuable, man.
They are. Yeah. Now, will we want to experience again? Of course not. Right. But, sharing those common stories divides the load and shows a way forward.
Yeah.
And that's it, fellas. When you're under stress, you need somebody to carry that load with you a little bit and then show you a way forward.
Yeah.
And so we hope that, these last 2 episodes and these 8 points is that you've seen some valuable ways to recognize stress, understand the impact on you, how it impacts your ability to parent and co-parent well, and then some ways to mediate the stress so that you can be a present dad and a valuable contributor in your kid's life.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And that's the key right there, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Be present, be valuable, be a dad. That's it.
And better than you were the day before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we know the last 2 episodes have been heavy. It's a heavy.
Absolutely.
And, we have cats making bad decisions because they can't handle stress. We're going to revisit this again in different ways. But we want to let you know, hey, as we said from the beginning, we're out here for you, bringing resources to bear.
Yeah.
We're not experts.
No way.
But we're trying to level up every day.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys join us in that journey.
Yeah. Our new outro, be better.
Be better.
Not bitter.
So until next time, I'm Kelly.
And I'm John.